anyway,
Well,
I can ramble.
well, that's all right, John. I was gonna ask you, what was the impact on you as a fan and on the other fans when you found out about the plane crash and you found out Johnny Valentine was on the plane?
Well, we just figured he'd kick out. You know, if a wing fell on him, he would kick out. I mean, he was just so tough, and then you hear the details that he decided for some reason to sit in the front seat of the plane, and when the plane was crashing, he braced himself, and then everybody in the back seats came crashing in on him and broke his back. Flair was injured pretty bad too.
Hmm.
um, we were smart enough to figure out that Tim Wooden was probably Tim Woods, but we always kind
Yeah,
of figured it was a show, huh?
in the newspaper accounts, he was George Burl Wooden, and
Uh,
they listed him as a promoter, because he was the
we didn't
only
buy that.
he was the only baby face on the plane. Um,
Yeah. Well,
but
except for David Crockett, who's the biggest homer announcer in the history of mankind.
yeah, but
Um,
I mean, the only wrestler, was,
mhm.
um, I don't know if Bob Bruggers was he a baby face or a heel?
Yeah, he was a baby face, but he was just a lower middle of the card type guy, really athletic. Could do a lot of that, the high flying stuff. I still maintain, and I may be the only person that remembers this. He did make appearance about a month after the plane crash on TV. Nobody else remembers this but me, and said he was going to try to, get back in shape and get back in the ring. Also, I'm one of the few people in the fucking world that remembers that. I remember at the U.S. tournament, Johnny Valentine made an appearance in a wheelchair.
Mm.
It said he was going to fight, come back and try to get back into the ring. Nobody remembers that, so I must have been drinking me Pepsis or something. But, um, but I tell you one thing, that plane crash, we were just like, I mean, we were devastated because you didn't know, the news that you got was just, photographs in the newspaper, not a lot of results, not a lot of history behind like you get it now, but we just kind of figured he'd come back, and he I guess he ended up be able to walk with walkers due to pure in guts, and then eventually he was in a wheelchair. But I always wondered about what would happen with the future. We already discussed that, but
Yeah.
he was.
What did people think about Flair being out of action? I mean, it was. I mean, he was in his second year in the Mid Atlantic at that point,
Well,
or first?
he, yeah, I mean, I think he came in around 73. He was tagging with Rip Hawk because Sweet Hansen had a heart attack or something, some kind of health issues. um, Flair stood out immediately because most of the wrestlers were older guys, and here's this young guy, and he's got that yelling and screaming, I'm the best baby, blah blah blah, woo. He would do that even then, and we began to warm up to him, but and I heard he got badly hurt, and for some reason he didn't sit in the front seat. Johnny did, and normally he would sit in the front. That's just weird things about history. But they brought in Blackjack Mulligan. They got him out of New York to come in to go up against Wahoo, and then soon after that, Blackjack tagged with Flair, and then they did a turn and had that famous robe angle.
Yeah, that's why the Blackjacks team championship run in New York was so short.
Mhm.
Was Blackjack opted out to go back to Charlotte?
Well, the thing about Blackjack Mulligan that's terrific is Blackjack Mulligan wrestled as a big man. He didn't try to do all this high flying shit. He wrestled as a big guy, and he had great charisma. He had great all kind of cowboy interviews. He was kind of funny, but he had great facials when he would get angry. Eyes get open and bug out, but he was rare to. It's almost impossible to see somebody wrestle like a big guy, but
Hmm.
Blackjack did. He wrestled like a big guy.
Do you have any
I don't know if
memories?
how that I don't know if how that gets over with people nowadays, but but everything he did really meant a lot.
Do you
Um,
remember anything about what Bob Caudle said, or how long was it before anything was said on television?
well, they kind of had to, but he, um, they just said they kind of soft pedaled it as far as attention wise because what could they do?
Hmm.
They had to change the page and they're making money, right? So they have to go ahead and go to the next thing.